So today we're going to be talking about Angel Reese. Look, nobody in their right mind is arguing Angel Reese's rookie of the year at the minute. Thankfully, that argument is gone. And I don't mind. I do feel like she's been very poor after the Olympic break, as far as like her game has gone. But the one good thing I really like about Angel Reese though is that even when she's playing badly, you still get the rebounding. You still have the best rebounder in W, even when she's not playing well. But the last few games have been very concerning. But at the end of the day, it's not like long-term concerning. It's just hopefully we don't like. There has to be some improvement made, and I think she may have made the mistake that Aaliyah Boston made last summer of not really focusing that much in the break, because like a month break, you can see Caitlin Clark getting the floater, you can see the improvement of Rickea Jackson, whereas Angel Reese has come out past the break, and look, I know the stats are there. I feel like she's regressed. I thought Angel Reese was getting better and better and better and better, and then she had a little bit of a slump towards the end. Played a really good game against the Aces, and probably has regressed a little bit as a player. But the good thing about Angel Reese is that no matter what, you still get that rebounding. And if you guys like this content, subscribe. If you guys are going to take a personal shot at me because of a basketball opinion, I will block your comment and you just go watch somebody else. If you guys are going to make this a personal thing or a racial thing, there are plenty of racist channels on both sides that you can watch. This isn't one of them. There's plenty of them on YouTube. But with Angel Reese right now, you already have the best offensive rebounder in the history of the WNBA. But you have the worst finisher in the history of professional basketball. If Angel Reese even gets to below average, she's a perennial all-star. And I mean that. If she goes from the worst finisher in the history of professional basketball to a below average finisher, like she's shooting under 40% on layups since the Olympic break. Like it's not been good. She's hit one shot from outside 5 feet since the Olympic break. Oh no, sorry. She hit a couple in a row against Phoenix. But like outside of that Phoenix game where she was hitting shots down 20 when it didn't matter in garbage time, she's genuinely barely hit a shot from other than a layup, and she's barely hit layups. Like, it felt like from the way the season started that she came in, I thought she came in good. I thought she came in as a super effective role player. And then as the season was going on at the start of the year, she went from being an effective role player who was still really struggling shooting to a super effective role player to a all-star level player, and then a little bit of a slump towards the Olympic break, but it is what it is. It happens to rookie. You can't expect rookies to just all have high games all the time. And since the Olympic break, I'm very kind of confused in what the Sky are trying to do, because I said at the start, it's like they need to go through Angel a bit. But it's very, very clear that she's just not, like, I thought that maybe she would have developed a bit of a jump shot over the Olympic break, or at least develop some confidence in it. Maybe getting with a shooting coach, like, it doesn't take, in a month, you should be able to stop your hands clapping together shooting. Like, that's something a couple of days in the shooting machine could work. And I wouldn't even mind about the percentages, but her hands still clap together when she shoots, which is a not good thing. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of an improvement there. But we've seen the rookie improvements. Like, we've now seen Caitlin Clark get to a level where if she has a 19-5-5 game in June, everyone's like, oh my God, rookie of the year. Now if she has a 19-5-5 game, it's like, she's terrible. She makes her team worse. And it's like, man, she's just dropped 19-5-5 and beat the Sun. But like, that's now the level Caitlin Clark has gone. Rickea Jackson has gotten to a level where she's been playing at an all-star level post Olympic break. And we have seen a slight regression in how Angel Reese has been playing. But it's not, like, long-term, it's not a big deal. Like, it's not a big deal in the slightest, because you've still got a player who's the best offensive rebounder in the W. There are just, again, a couple of things that I'm really, like, it happened towards the Olympic break, and then it's continued since. Angel Reese is a really good defender when she wants to be. Like, her effort running back on defense isn't where, like where it needs to be. Like, I get it, she's going for offensive rebounds, and this is partially Teresa Weatherspoon's fault, by the way. Like, she has to play 40 minutes a game. So, Teresa Weatherspoon is, she's conserving energy. She's conserving energy for those offensive boards, and she runs hard on offense. So, she's conserving energy. Like, again, we've seen Caitlin Clark conserve energy on defense too. Don't get me wrong. But, like, I don't know why. I just feel Angel Reese would be so much more effective right now as a 27, 28 minute a game player where she can go 100% of the time at all times. And I would be interested in seeing, like, she wouldn't be getting her double-double streak. She wouldn't be getting all the stats all the time. But I would just be more interested to see just how effective she could be then. Because you can see her taking plays off on defense, which she didn't do at the start of the year. But at the same time, you can't have the play with the energy she has on both ends. That's a Teresa Weatherspoon problem more than a her problem. The more I watch the games, the more I'm like, there's no way you can play as many games and as many minutes as she has without basically taking plays off and on one end. And we've seen it in basketball, like Luka choosing not to play defense. She's getting more of an offensive role, but yeah, it's still a little bit concerning, but also not concerning, because when she wants to be, she's still one of the 2 or 3 best perimeter defensive power forwards in the WNBA. She is unbelievable at that. Like, she's still quite weak as far as help side defense is concerned, but unbelievably good as far as perimeter defense is concerned for a 4. This offseason is so important. And I know she wants to do everything with business, but, like, if she can manage to there's such a big improvement and jump needed in her game that it's like, it's going to be so hard to do. Like, it's going to be so hard to be that elite basketball player. Because we saw just even like a month break where she's making every connection for her modeling career. She's obviously, these podcasts were pre-recorded. She's setting up her whole podcast, and she comes in after the Olympic break. Like, not as good. Just like not the same player as she was before the Olympic break. Stats wise will make it seem like, oh, she's been brilliant. I've watched every Sky game. She's not the same player. She's not the same player to put up 27 and 10 against Seattle Storm. She's not the same player who put up 20 and 10 on the Connecticut Sun on 80% shooting. She's not the same player that went one-on-one with Alyssa Smith and had 15 points in a fourth quarter. Like, that stretch of, like, I think that was like a maybe 3-week period where she was better in those 3 weeks than Caitlin Clark was. And Caitlin Clark was damn good in those 3 weeks. So, like, it's very clear, or not, it's not very clear, but from the outside looking in, it does look like the other priorities have affected her play post-Olympic break. And yeah, there are other issues. No Marina Mabry, other things. The Sky just having Teresa Weatherspoon as a coach doesn't help. But this offseason is so important for Angel Reese because this is not going to be a thing where Angel Reese suddenly becomes a effective offensive player next year. This is one of those things where you're like, it has to be incremental improvements. Like, if she can develop a hook shot next year, if she can develop a drop step, if she can develop, and if in year 2 she learns how to drop step effectively to add on to what she does with the offensive rebounding, then that's a positive. If by year 3 she stops shot putting the ball at the basket and she still has her drop step and maybe has a hook shot, that's a positive. If by year 4 she can shoot from 9 feet from the basket, that's a positive. If by year 5 she can shoot from 12 feet from the basket. If by year 8 she can become a 3-point shooter. Like, that's the incremental improvements that are going to have to happen with Angel Reese. I think one of the big issues is that, like, you're seeing a lot of the misses and they're now being, like, amplified because we're seeing, like, Teresa Weatherspoon decide in a game where, like, they're down 2 and the previous possession, Angel Reese turned the ball, or, like, didn't seal Aaliyah Edwards properly, didn't hold her off properly. Aaliyah Edwards strips her and goes and gets a layup to put them ahead. And then the next possession, the ball goes into Angel Reese on a short roll, which is not where you want to give the ball to Angel Reese, and she just flings the ball near the basket. And like that's the problem is it's like she's not even shooting, she's throwing the ball near the basket. And that's the reason why referees aren't calling fouls. Is the reason why she has so few fouls is that like if you just flail, the refs aren't going to call it. Like if you just jump at someone and throw the ball near the basket, the refs aren't going to call it because it's clearly the offensive player just throwing their body out of control. And that's what it looks like when you're watching Angel Reese play. So it's becoming more and more like amplified because of the fact that Teresa Weatherspoon's going to her more and more. And I do think in games that are blowouts, like the Phoenix game, go to her a lot. They're a lot closer than I thought they were going to be in games, but in close games, she cannot be number one option. Like you're even seeing now on like Chicago Sky, like fan podcasts. On like, these are Sky fans. And there you're seeing a lot of like, we got to just stop force feeding Angel Reese. Camilla needs to stop running plays for Angels. She's shooting 30%. They're not watching film. Stop going to Angel. Stuff like that. It is like, it's looking bad and it's making Angel Reese look, I feel like the force feeding to try and get her stats up is almost making her look like a worse player. Because the craziest part is that like a lot of people at the start of the year were clowning Caitlin Clark. And some people are like, you got to give rookies grace. But that is the reality of it. You got to give rookies grace. Like, I don't think... We saw it even with Aaliyah Boston last year. Aaliyah Boston did not show up in shape. She did not show up in sharpness. I don't know if she was fit, but she didn't show up basketball sharpness from not playing overseas. Or not playing in anything during the offseason last year. Whereas Angel Reese, I feel like came back after the Olympic break with a month break, whereas a lot of other players got better. I think outside of the teams that had multiple Olympians, the standard of the league and the play in general has gotten better. Like a lot of the teams you're seeing, some of the lower teams without the Olympians just hooping right now because they had the rest. They got to work together. They got to work as a team. And I think maybe she did work as hard as anyone else, but it does look like there is that little bit of regression or at least a stagnation, whereas some players got better, especially when you look at Angel Reese's improvement from her first game to her 18th game. It was night and day. Whereas now we're looking at an Angel Reese who's playing like she did in probably her worst spell of the year. And part of it's her fault, part of it's not her fault. But the one thing you can never question is her effort. She's still going to outwork everybody in the offensive class. She is still the best offensive rebounder I've ever seen, men or women, for their respective game. I've never seen a player that when a shot goes up, you just assume is getting the offensive rebound in basketball before, and that is what Angel Reese is. This offseason is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And I know she's trying to set up a billion businesses. Basketball's got to be the first priority. And that is such an important thing for Angel Reese, is that basketball has to be the first priority. Because again, I'll mention it. We saw with Anna Kournikova what happened when she stopped playing, when she got a little bit worse and then started getting injured. When the tennis stopped, the other things dried up. When she was still one of the top 10 tennis players in the world, she was a worldwide celebrity. But once the tennis stopped, everything dried up. If Angel Reese focuses too much more on the extra stuff and it starts to affect the basketball, it can be an issue. If she's able to still focus on basketball, make improvements, and do all the other business stuff, she's damn superwoman. More power to her. She's going to be the face of this league. She's going to be one of the most famous sports people in the world if she can do that. But it's so important that the basketball does not suffer, and that is just what I'm scared of. Again, this is not a knock on Angel Reese. If she can do it, and in 2 or 3 years' time is running a massive podcast, is a model, is doing all this stuff, yeah, she will be the face of the WNBA over Caitlin Clark. She will be. She will be, without question. If she can do it all and make improvements to her game, become a decent offensive player with the way she rebounds, she can put up 20 and 14 and 15 any given night on mediocre even efficiency. My God, that player is something that the sport has never seen before. And that player will be, again, either one of the faces or the face of the WNBA. But that player doesn't exist right now. And it's going to take a lot of work for Angel Reese to become that player on the court. I think all the off the court stuff, she is as good as anyone. She's a millionaire for a reason. She's smart with brand deals. She's smart with her brand. She has a unbelievably loyal fan base. But if the basketball doesn't improve, I just can't see it lasting much long, like not lasting much longer. She's gonna have a 15-year career. She's and gonna be an all-star and a 5-time all-star. But like, if she's putting up 12 and she's never gonna shoot this lower percentage again. Hopefully, she's also never gonna be on a team as bad as she is right now. If she's putting up 12 and 13 on 39% shooting next year, that's not going to be an all-star. It's not going to be an all-star. Like, and it is hopefully, this is the worst Angel Reese is going to be. But I am very, very worried that she's taken on too much and something has to suffer. And I'm worried that the thing that's going to suffer will be her actual basketball.